Welcome to turning a moment into a movement.
This little light of mine, I'm gon' let it shine. I'm gon' let it shine. This little light of mine, this little light of mine, I'm gon' let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gon' let it shine. I'm gon' let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gon' let it shine. I'm gon' let it shine. Oh Lord, just let it shine. This light of mine, this light of mine. Oh Lord, would you please just let it shine. Take the drama out of my life. Oh Lord, every night, the pain ain't right. I wake up at night, I never sleep. 26, 10, and 7, that's just me. Every day I need a little seed. I need a little fresh air, man, I need to breathe. All I know is trauma, all I know is tickets. All I know is no visit, all I know is a mission to get straight up out of prison. Lord have mercy for it. Lord have mercy on my people. Preacher Mary Washington and all my real. Lord have mercy with my people. I pray to God, we really need you. When I was down bad, when things weren't going right, every time I prayed at night, I put my hands up in my face. I said, Lord have mercy, little light of mine. Lord God, please let it shine. It's the drama that I live in my life. I swear to God, I was a bad guy every night. 10 toes down, salute. Everybody suffering, everybody who trying to make a way. Everybody looking for the sky, everybody looking for that piece of pie. In a law library, I know what that feel like. Hoping that somebody get active and involved in your situation. Man, pop your collar and pray. Cause Lord have mercy on my soul. And they make bad guy father get out soon. And the rest of those brothers who be mobbing to child each morning. Oh man, I ain't going to this afternoon. Man, I'ma miss dinner today. I got a couple noodles. Hey, you know what that feel like? And you know what it is. And if you a victim of a wrongful conviction, suffered and served by Ken Worthy, then I know that you know what that pain feel like. And your mama know what that pain feel like. Your father know what that pain feel like. With that light, let that little shine. Let that light shine, a little light of mine. Bad guy, Doughboy Week, all these great people in this great world of ours. 10 toes down, salute. I appreciate you, bad guy. I appreciate you, Week. I appreciate the tech. I appreciate everybody in the studio. We gonna pop off that LV. Ooh-wee. Cause that's what they be liking to see. But I hope you hear the missing when you see me fresh. Salute. Salute. You do good, brother?
Greetings, everyone. Thank you for joining me this evening on Turning a Moment into a Movement. I am your host, Jay Love. I represent Turning a Moment into a Movement, the Justice for Gerard movement, and I'm also the spokesperson for Crystal Clark and a member of the Crystal Clark Freedom Team. So thank you for joining us this evening. I'm so glad that you're here. Our mission here at Turning a Moment into a Movement, inspired by the wrongful conviction of Gerard, my son, and built from the urgent need to create a safe, empowering space for all who have been harmed by injustice. Our mission is to shine a light on wrongful convictions, over sentencing, and neglect of those who are mentally ill and medically frail within the criminal legal system. We are committed to uplifting voices, sharing truth, and advocating for those too often silenced. Through education, community organizing, and courageous story retelling, we work to disrupt the systems, policies, and patterns that fuel injustice, transforming awareness into collective action and turning every moment into a movement for real change. Thank you for joining us this evening again. And for Everyone who wants to join the movement, subscribe. Um, Subscribe to our YouTube, our Facebook, our Instagram, so you will be always notified when we go live or whatever is going on that we're advocating for or we're discussing. So just be a part of our community. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. So with that being said, tonight we're gonna have we're celebrating Reverend Jesse Jackson. He just recently passed away, and we really didn't get to celebrate him here. And so we're going to use this opportunity tonight to do that. This is our Accountability Matters series where we talk about justice, leadership, community, and responsibility of systems and people in power to the communities they serve. Tonight's episode is titled "Celebrating Reverend Jesse Jackson and Keeping Hope Alive: Accountability Then and Now." This conversation is about legacy, leadership, justice, and accountability, and how the civil rights movement connects directly to what's happening in our communities today. And so, before we get started and bring on our special guest who has a clear connection to Reverend Jackson, we're going to bring on my co host tonight, Leslie McGraw. Hey, Leslie.
Hey, hey, hey. Hey, Jay.
How are you?
I feel good today. So
Yes, me too. So I heard you was
that's
out in the community. I was out in the community today, doing advocacy work. So tell everybody who you are, what you was doing today, what you do, and all
mm,
of that good stuff.
um so so I'm Leslie McGraw and I I would say I try to bring legacy into action, and that's through social media, marketing, training, civic engagement. And I'm the founder of Albert Williams Voting Corner, where we take the story of my great grand uncle, who was the first NAACP member to be lynched for his work to help people vote. And that was in 1940. And it precipitated a bunch of terror in the family, and our family ended up, a lot of the family ended up in Michigan because of that act. And so I always think of the movie Friday, where he's like, "When he leave, I'll be talking again." So for a very long time, hi Shawana. Um, uh, for a very long time, people were scared to mention his name. They're like, for 20 years, it was like the same people who, including the sheriff who kidnapped him and led him into the mob. Um, they were running the town, running amok. They were still continuing to be elected and everything for very many years. And so people were scared to talk even his name. And so um, th- J. Edgar Hoover got involved and closed that down even further. And so the files from the FBI, all this documentation, including information that had nothing to do with Albert Williams, it had to do with like my grandma and stuff, was all at the federal level at the FBI in 2012. So
Mhm.
I'm just like, okay, we talking again. So I don't have, I mean, I got threats, I got little stuff going on, but I don't have somebody coming to pick me up in the middle of the night to go lynch me. So I figure I'm talking again for my great grand uncle. And he was about police brutality, um, uh, economic development, uh, having job security, and also about community, like having our own, not like our own ways to communicate. And so I feel like I'm just taking the baton from my great grand uncle in a lot of ways.
Yeah. So what was you doing today?
Oh, today I was just being Leslie, but I mean, it was so I helped Trisha with, or I joined her prayer community day of prayer over at Park Ridge in Ypsilanti, and we did a free flow event. So I opened it up in prayer, and it just felt like the right time. So many people is bottling up. They carrying so many heavy things. The death we had in the month of March, this area had 5 suicides. We've had a lot. Two of the suicides were 13-year-olds. You know what I'm saying? That's we talk about keep hope alive. This is the right time to try to evoke that hope, right? So
Mhm.
we prayed. Trisha sang. I told her, I whispered in her ear. I said, "Boy, if I could sing, I would tear this microphone up, but I couldn't. So all I could do was pray and say a little something, right?" And so it was great. It was right after on the tail of the community wide Easter egg hunt, and then my daughter and her friend were with me, and then we went over to Bethel and to their extravaganza where we had a really great crowd, and the kids. There, I just love. Um, to me, community engagement and justice includes like seeing little kids ride ponies and play and just not have to worry about terror or being black or being whatever. Just they was just playing. They had a ball. So, and then we went and got our nails done, me and the girls, little girls. So that's what my day consisted of. But yeah, I've been busy trying to uphold legacies for people who were completely silenced in the past and do what I can for me and my kids and my family now, and also trying to try to influence a future that does not involve pain and carrying so much every day. Like
Mhm.
life is not supposed to be just something you endure, but to live, I feel like.
Yes. Yeah. That was Crystal who just called while you was talking, and
Oh,
today,
so Crystal said hi.
uh, yeah, we were out advocating for her, talking to people in the community, bringing awareness. And so tonight we're talking about celebrating Reverend Jesse Jackson and keeping hope alive. And I want to just say, um, this episode matters because the civil rights movement did not end, it evolved. The same issues Reverend Jackson fought for or against: injustice, inequality, and mass incarceration, environmental injustices, and the lack of accountability is still happening today. so
Mhm.
so now tonight we're going to have a conversation. We need to understand how legacy helps us understand our responsibility now. So, with that being said, Leslie, I need you to introduce our guest for tonight.
Okay. I would love to. So tonight's guest is someone that I've known since I don't know preschool, kindergarten, probably kindergarten. She and I grew up in the church together, and also on the north side of Ann Arbor. North side gangsters, what's up? We
Okay.
thought we were doing something. We thought we were doing something. She'll tell you. So, anyways, Tisha Montague is an Ann Arbor based community advocate, entrepreneur, and cultural organizer. She has played a visible role in local civic life, including coordinating the city's annual African American Downtown Festival,
Mm.
which has been going on for I guess 40, no, 30 something years now. Um,
Wow.
yep. Um, and she has contributed to community initiatives focused on racial equality and housing justice. She's had her hands in a lot of affordable housing that we have had. She's also involved in legal cannabis industry, working alongside her mother in a Black woman-owned dispensary, where she has helped navigate operations and community engagement in a rapidly evolving field. I think they
Mm.
were one of the first, if they were either the first or one of the first three Black cannabis stores in the state.
Oh,
Rooted
wow.
in Ann Arbor, she is known for her commitment to community development, equity, and creating opportunities for Black residents through both business and civic leadership. And then I will just add on that Tisha has a love for Ann Arbor. Ann Arbor is a weird place, right? So I've been here since 1940, and I still get treated like I just hanging on by a thread or don't belong here. And so when you talk about Black community inside of a place like Ann Arbor, she has shown love for all the people in Ann Arbor, which includes us, at a time and many times where Ann Arbor hasn't shown the love back to Black folks here. So without further ado, welcome, Tisha.
Yes, and Tisha doesn't have video tonight, you guys. So, but she's here. Yay!
Hello, hello, hello. Good evening.
Yay!
Hey,
How are you tonight?
I'm doing fantastic. How is everyone doing this evening?
Oh, I'm great. I'm great. I'm
Mhm.
great. So before we get started, I got a piece that I was just listening to the last few days of Reverend Jesse Jackson, and I want to play this. Um, Let me bring it on the screen. Let me put it on the full screen, and let's go.
Jesse Jackson, you don't understand my situation. You'll be on television. You don't understand. I see you with the big people. You don't understand my situation. I understand. You see me on TV, but you don't know the me that makes me me. They wonder why does Jesse run? Because they see me running for the White House. They don't see the house I'm running from. I have a story. I wasn't always on television. Writers were not always outside my door. When I was born late one afternoon, October 8th, in Greenville, South Carolina, no writers asked my mother her name. Nobody chose to write down our address. A mama was not supposed to make it, and I was not supposed to make it. You see, I was born a teenage mother who was born a teenage mother. I understand. I know abandonment and people being mean to you and saying you're nothing and nobody and can never be anything. I understand. Jesse Jackson is my third name. I'm adopted. When I had no name, my grandmother gave me her name. My name was Jesse Burns till I was 12. So I wouldn't have a blank space. She gave me a name to hold me over. I understand when nobody knows your name. I understand when you have no name. I understand. I wasn't born in the hospital. Mama didn't have insurance. I was born in the bed at house. I really do understand. Born in a 3-room house, bathroom in the backyard, slop job by the bed, no hot and cold running water. I understand. Wallpaper used for decoration? No, for a windbreaker. I understand. I'm a working person's person. That's why I understand you, whether you're black or white. I understand work. I was not born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I had a shovel programmed for my hand. My mother, a working woman. So many days she went to work early, with runs in her stockings. She knew better, but she rolled runs in her stockings so that my brother and I could have matching socks and not be laughed at school. I understand. At 3 o'clock on Thanksgiving Day, we couldn't eat turkey because Mama was preparing somebody else's turkey at 3 o'clock. We had to play football to entertain ourselves. And then around 6 o'clock, she would get off the Alta Vista bus, and we would bring up the leftovers and eat our turkey, leftovers, the caucus, the cranberries, around 8 o'clock at night. I really do understand. Every one of these funny labels they put on you, those of you who are watching this broadcast tonight in the projects, on the corners, I understand. Call you outcast, low down, you can't make it, you're nothing, you're from nobody, subclass, underclass. When you see Jesse Jackson, when my name goes in nomination, your name goes in nomination. I was born in the slum, but the slum was not born in me. And it wasn't born in you, and you can make it. Wherever you are tonight, you can make it. Hold your head high. Stick your chest out. You can make it. It gets dark sometimes, but the morning comes. Don't you surrender. Suffering breeds character. Character breeds faith. In the end, faith will not disappoint. You must not surrender. You may or may not get there, but just know that you're qualified and you hold on and hold out. We must never surrender. America will get better and better. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. On tomorrow night and beyond. Keep hope alive. I love you very much. I love you very much.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
I haven't watched that in a mighty long time. That brought back many, many emotions. As I reflect on during that time, it was so difficult for us as African Americans, and then for him to have the courage to stand up and to run. That was something that little black boys and little black girls like myself, that was the moment when I knew that anything is possible, right? And then to have my mother, who was by history the first African American to ever be chair of the Washington County Board of Commissioners, right? She actually was his campaign manager for his campaign here in Michigan. She was the statewide coordinator. And he won Michigan, might I add. I remember as a little girl hearing speeches similar to that and holding up the Run Jesse Run signs that we had handmade because we didn't have all of these printed, signs and all of that. We did have the Jesse, the blue Jesse buttons, but we didn't have all those, beautiful signs. We hand wrote them. We stayed up all night. We met early in the morning, and everybody shared them at the rallies. And he, at that moment, I think he occupies more than just in contemporary American history. I think that he was more than a civil rights activist, more than a two-time presidential candidate, because from that, he then founded what was originally, it was Operation Push, right? And it became Rainbow Push. He literally cultivated a political brand and anchored in that slogan, keep hope alive. So when we discuss, and as we celebrate Reverend Jackson's legacy, and we discuss keeping hope alive and accountability then and now, we have to look at the long-lasting impact that not only his race, but his efforts and his vision had on Black women's lives in United States politics, right?
Yeah.
So these organizations. Operation Push in 1971. Push, people united to serve humanity, right? He later expanded it, I think it was like 95, 96, to Rainbow Push Coalition. So that's where we saw the transition of hope transitioning into coalition building. Okay, so that was helping shape the political environment for African Americans, but specifically for women. These organizations, they operated as political incubators and social service networks. They didn't just provide support, they provided training and fundraising and exposure for these emerging Black leaders. He created a leadership academy. It was targeted specifically to Black women. He gave them
Yes.
campaign strategy, public speaking, policy analysis. He literally was the gatekeeper and a facilitator for Black women's entry into elective office. He had a somewhat paternalistic leadership style, right?
Mm-hmm.
Engaged in more of a mentorship, but slash paternalistic, because he really cared. He had a vision that he cultivated into literally a political brand that was known internationally. So from these memberships, bigger networks, bigger coalitions became and they created influence, they created support. It was a direct correlation to the success of candidates during that time. His endorsements, I read somewhere, between his direct endorsements between 1992 and 2024, 62% of the Black women who received an official endorsement from Rainbow Push won their primary elections.
Oh my goodness. I didn't know it was that big.
Wow.
Wow. Mhm.
62%. These are the Carol Mosley Browns,
Yes.
the Kathy Coxes out of
Mm-hmm.
Virginia, the Donna Shaws.
Mhm.
That's when we begin to see the Black women wave.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yes.
So there was a shift from hope as mobilization, like to get out the vote, to hope as accountability, hope of
Yeah.
responsibility, something that we could measure. And it was especially directed for Black women.
Yeah. I I remember everyone, like literally everybody I knew. I didn't know what I was looking at. I was probably, I don't know, probably 14, 13, 14 when everything happened with Anita Hill, and the narrative, the the main Black narrative was, oh, she lying, she don't want a Black man to win or whatever. And he stood up against that machine and said, "No, I'm, you know, I believe her. I'm listening to her."
He
Um,
had her back.
he had her back.
He had her back. In that picture that you see, that you showed of my mother, myself, and Jesse, she was running against the machine for county commissioner. He
Mhm.
wasn't even supposed to come to the area. He diverted his whole camp to come to Ann Arbor to the Nike court to talk about gun violence and to support Christina Montague's run for commissioner. That was her final run. She had already been on and had been off for a while, and she thought she wanted to get back on, but God had something bigger for her. But I say that to say, when he when he sees someone who has put in time and put in work and has supported him. He supported his people, and I love that about him.
Yes.
Mhm. Mhm.
Even those he didn't know, I remember at the Democratic convention in Chicago, and I don't want to take up a lot of space. I apologize, but
No, you can fine. Go
it
ahead.
was we were
Yeah.
at a convention, the Democratic National Convention, and it was the year that he had freed the slaves from Bosnia. I told you all about this, and
Mhm.
he was there with, you know, all of he could have been with anyone in the whole political, environment, and he was there with Chris Tucker because Chris Tucker was going through some difficult things at that time himself, and he brought Chris Tucker.
Remind me, who is Chris Tucker?
Chris Tucker was in Money
Actor.
Talks and Friday.
Yeah.
Oh,
He
that
was
Chris Tucker.
the original
Yeah.
Oh,
Smokey. Yes, right. Who
I was thinking of
Jackie Chan?
politician. Yeah, I got
Yes.
you.
So it was him, the two of them, the soldiers from Bosnia, and Coretta Scott King, all within an arm's length of me.
Wow.
And to see the love that and respect that he showed Mrs. King was something that I will never forget. And the respect that he gave and made sure she was fine and made sure she was well attended. Her people were there, but he made sure as well. And I never forgot that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Hmm.
That's
So I
wonderful.
have a question.
Hmm.
So you grew up around politics, public service, and community leadership through your mom. How did that shape your understanding of power, responsibility, and accountability in leadership?
Well, she was a pretty straight shooter. And so she didn't sugarcoat a lot of things. And
Hmm.
so she would always say, "Hey, you have to fight for what's right. You have to fight for the voiceless. We have to fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. When you are in a position, that is our duty,
Yeah.
right?" I watched her go and get millions of dollars to help to build the Delana Center in downtown Ann Arbor, which
Mm.
probably should be named the Montague Center, but that's a different story. I watched her go out to the low income housing areas and get resources and clothing and support and create computer programs
Mm.
so that seeing her in space, in community, I never thought that I would be in politics. That wasn't my thing because I was like, "Mom, I'm not politically correct because I'm saying it worse than you. I'm just gonna say it. I don't." And people were like, "Hey, you know what? We need that in politics these days." So I got out there. I started getting in community. It helped me realize that the power is in politics. The decisions that are being made happen in the boardrooms, happen at the committee meetings, the planning meetings. So if you're not a part of that conversation, those resources and that help will not reach your community or your constituents.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mhm.
That Go ahead.
I want to say, one key thing that you said, your mom instilled in you about fighting, right? And fast forward to today, like when did we lose that peace? When did we lose that conversation? Because in some spaces it is there, right? But in many more spaces it's not there. Like everybody is like every man for himself. If it's not happening to me, I'm not affected by it. I don't feel any way about it. And then look how we're living right now with the things that's going on in office. When do you feel that we lost that peace, that fight for legacy, for community? Because there's a lot going on right now. People crashing out all over the place. Even what you just said earlier, Leslie, about people needing to be in space um, for prayer because people are just crashing out. So,
Mhm.
when do you think, Tisha, we lost that peace?
Well, you said a big thing, losing prayer. I think we first lost when we stopped praying in school. That was big. I think that it was a big push from the machine of a conquer and divide. They took
Mhm.
those resources and they dangled them at like a piece of fruit, right? That caused rift in community. Oh, you got more than I got. You got this. I didn't get this. It was TV. It was movies. It was social media. The distractions. I
Mhm.
think those messages, those that generational storytelling, we've lost some of that because everybody wants to turn up and they're not tuned in,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah,
so I think that them
that
big
part.
mamas are getting younger and younger. We losing the sight of those big mamas, those 70, 80-year-old big mamas. Them big mamas are in their 30s now and 40s.
Mhm.
And I think that there is a I think that we just have to get back to it. We have to keep having conversations like this. We have to be intentional. We have to grab our young ones and bring them in space. I know they're bored. And I told my mother this the other day. I said, she said, you used to be so bored, but apparently you were listening, you know. Um, and I would be fussing every time I tell you, we always gotta go to political thing. I'm tight, we be in the middle. She be up on the dais and on the stage. I'm with, somebody from the campaign in the front row waving, hey, and now I know that I was supposed to be in that room. I was supposed to be around those people. I was supposed to hear those words and experience some of the hardships that we did because that builds character, as Jesse said.
Mhm.
Jesse
Mhm.
wasn't anyone different. He was one of us. He was for us. He fought for us.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Leslie.
Oh, I was just exhaling actually.
Oh, okay. I know when you said that, in that speech, Jesse was pretty much saying, hey, I understand,
Mhm.
and he was letting you see the human side of himself. And I think that's another thing that's missing in the politics today. You know, I was listening to, I think, Dr. Umar, and he was saying how, politicians are like low key celebrities, right? And in our actuality, they're supposed to be a public servant, right?
Mhm.
Serve the people instead of being, untouchable. And so when you want to, even with the freedom movement for Crystal, even if we, say something to hold somebody accountable, we get so much backlash. Like, oh, why y'all pointing us out? Blah, 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 blah. But isn't that what we supposed to be doing? And didn't he show us that by humanizing his own self, saying that I'm not untouchable, I'm and within your reach? You know, wasn't that like the gist of his speech that we just listened to?
Mhm.
Mhm.
So one of the things that I think about when I'm hearing you both, it's a difference now of politicians, and some of it is also the way that we engage with politicians. Like, as far as if we see they can say something, uh, I don't know, they might get a little tipsy and say something wrong, and then it's just like they're completely canceled or whatever. And so when we talk about having second this, this is second chances month. And I know we're really talking, we say second chances, we're really talking about the justice impacted community. but it also, I think, includes politicians or people, community leaders, period. I've seen, I was in space recently with Charles Pugh, and some of you might remember him from the airways for a long time. And
Mm-hmm.
he made some bad decisions.
Mm-hmm.
But he did his time. He did his time. He was in jail, prison for what, 5 years or whatever. And you know, talked about that he did the wrong thing. And then he's back. He's with the Exonerees Nation
Yeah, I think I'm
outside.
doing Lansing.
Yeah, he doing stuff. We have to stop throwing people away. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? We have to stop throwing people away. I think about Eric Mays. I I don't know. This is my own discernment. I didn't know him personally, but I felt like that his heart was broken when he passed. They took him off that council or put him on repair, and I know he was crude in a lot of ways or whatever, but he was telling the truth.
Hello.
He was bringing things
Mm-hmm.
up that Flint leadership had put under the dirt for a very long time. He brought when he called them out about that landscape contract. I hollered. I hollered.
Mhm.
It was so funny because and when you're in leadership, people are going to find anything you've done wrong. They're going to find that. And so if we can get to the point where we're assessing and um having conversations about the people's actions, their votes versus their likability or their personality or what they got on, or such and such looks silly, or then I think we could make it farther. Because um some of the reasons I've heard people say, like, they wouldn't vote for somebody is so it's ridiculous, or that they're going to vote for them. um because at the end of the day, especially if you're talking about somebody's already been in office, you don't have to have all these conversations. I can go and I can look up how you voted, and I can tell you everything I need to know about who you
Exactly.
are. I
Mhm.
don't need to I don't need you
Right.
to have a perfect smile and a perfect speech. I need you to vote with the conscience of the people. Yeah. So
Yeah, I agree that we have to start forgiving. Um, we forgive so many other people, but we're so hard on us. And like my grandfather used to say, some people just focus on the wrong shit. Excuse my French, but they do. You focus on the wrong things. We should be, looking at policy framing and resource mobilization and mentorship. You know,
Yeah.
these are the things that can help us progress, help
Right.
us build our communities up. And where those decisions are made are in the political arena.
mhm.
Yeah, everything is politics, right?
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
Trisha and I have this conversation all the time. Like, it's easy to point out the things that's wrong, right? But if we organize on the things that we can all agree on, right, we will
Mhm.
we'll get further along in these movements because we have a common goal. We have to, like, when you look at other groups, they focus on the common goal. And they might not even, and all groups, they have people that they can't stand, right? But when it comes to the common good for all, they join together, and that's, I think, is one of our things that we need to focus on is how we come together on a common goal. Find the
Mhm.
thing that works for everybody, that we most of us can agree on, because even in that, there's gonna be somebody like, I'm not worried about water, because water where I live, we just get filters or whatever, the conversation.
Mhm. Mhm.
So the things that the majority of us can all say: air, water, those things, policies, and focus on those specific policies that will help the majority of us. You know, those things that would bring us together instead of separate us. And I think that's, the gist of what Jesse was about. He worked on bringing us together. And even though people would try to do things to point fingers, he's never, he stayed on task. He stayed on the goal.
And his goal changed. His goal, you mentioned something, Jay, early in the conversation about, we're past the civil rights movement. The civil rights movement, officially, most people call it from 1954 to 1968. And we can definitely learn from that. We should be learning from that and
Yeah.
before. But it can't be like we can't be sitting play by play trying to do everything that happened, because what happened and what worked in 1960 will not work in 2026.
Right.
But
It evolved.
one thing I noticed about Reverend Jackson, and which I loved about him, was if you took um his work in any decade, it didn't look like the last decade.
Hmm.
He had a new assignment. He had a new
Mhm.
assignment. He was refreshing the assignment, working on that assignment, and it looked different. The strategies might be different. Yeah. Oh, hey, Reverend Tia. Yeah.
So
That is
my
so
next,
true.
oh, go ahead, Tisha.
No, I was just gonna say that's so true. I just wanted to chime in really quick because, like you said, he went from civil rights to his presidential to Rainbow Push, and then he ended most recently with the Global Automotive Summit. That was his big
Mhm.
project. Um, so what does that look like for us as a people, though? How do we evolve and come together? Like, what people? I think we first have to see what people we need at the table. You know,
Yeah.
who how do we come together? What do those leaders look like, and to help shape tomorrow? You know.
Yes. First, we had to reimagine what tomorrow we want tomorrow to look like
Mhm.
on a broader table. You
Hmm.
know, it can't look how it looked yesterday, like you was just saying, Leslie. We had to expand it into what it feels and look like today, and we have to agree on it. Um, for the majority, not for the minority, because we see a lot of that going on right now, and
Mhm.
the minority, what's that? The one percenters, or
Mhm.
and their
Mhm.
little sprinkles of those that think they're one percenters. Um, it's going their way right now, right? So they're good, but they're forgetting about, well, who's gonna buy all this stuff? Who's gonna
Mhm.
buy the cars? Who's gonna buy the food?
Mhm.
Who's buying the
Mhm.
gas? You thinking about money, but who's buying the houses? So, eventually they're gonna figure out, hey, this is not working. But right now, while they're getting this good, they're all focusing on, what's the next thing we can push to get more money. And so
Mhm.
that now I think and I could be wrong, but I think the conversation as we pushing towards November is what's good for the most of us.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Who at this point for
Yeah,
November
who?
is who is going to help us build what tomorrow looks like. What
Yeah,
candidates both um, can help us, and who will support, and who get it, because
Mhm.
they just don't get it. A lot of these
Yeah.
right.
people.
Yeah. And we got it. Yeah, and know who we can work with. Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, she, in one of her speeches, she was asked about, like, how can you, at the time, it was Biden against Trump. It was before Kamala joined in. And she said, even if I am diametrically opposed to what he's saying, or his views on things, we can work, we can argue, we can do, but there's certain people that you can't do that with. Some of these people are not able to really be public servants because their connection is to big big money, big packs, whatever.
Mhm.
So I remember one representative talked about it as a big Thanksgiving table, and you have a room for 25 people around this big table. And so when you make decisions, every time somebody big, like whether it's DTE or APAC or whatever, they're holding a seat. They're holding a seat, even though they might not be physically in the room. So you might have 12 people in the room, but there's 12 empty seats that represent all these different organizations. So the organization, these corporations, big money, they're squashing the voice of the people. You know what I mean? So that they're not like one of the I'm not gonna use any names, but there's somebody that's running, and I really like her a lot. But I also know that she gets a lot of money from DTE lawyers. So I'm like, if she's in a situation, in a legal situation, is she gonna vote for the voice of the people or the voice of who has paid and funded
Her
her
campaign.
campaign?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
DTE want a hike right now. Want more money. They just got an increase, and now they ask for. We're just starting to pay that increase, and they want to end another increase. Like,
Yeah, they like a bad teenager now. Like, mom, I need some more money. Mom, I need some more money. Yeah, what you ain't, you got a budget, baby. We can't.
right. Meanwhile, every time it storms around here, you lose lights for 4 or 5 days. I know the last couple of years, I went from never having power outages to power outage every other day. Even if it wasn't storming, power would go out. Like, what the hell is going on around here? So I want to say, I asked you, when we look at leaders like Reverend Jesse Jackson and the civil rights movement, and then we look at what's happening today with issues like mass incarceration and prison conditions, government accountability. Do you think the movement changed, or do you think we're still fighting the same fight in a different form?
I think we're still fighting the same fight. I think it's a never ending saga until we put those policies in place. We're
Mm-hmm.
still dealing with the same thing because there's still gaps. There's still structural racism. There's still gender scrutiny. There's still barriers for Black women, specifically Black women.
Yes.
So I think that the lens hasn't changed for the people in charge. We have to change the lenses then. And that means that we have to get folks who represent all people, not just some people, elected. And that's just it. That way we when we go to the table, we can work together collectively to create something for all.
I remember when we were talking the other day, and you were talking about Jesse Jackson, Reverend Jesse Jackson's organizing the vote for people to vote. And you, what was that number you said? How many people he organized? He to get the vote.
In 1984, are you talking to me? Yeah, in
Hmm.
1984, he got a million new voters, a million new registered voters. In his run in 1988, he registered 2 million registered
Hmm.
voters. Um, yeah,
And
that's a huge no.
yes.
We didn't see numbers like that for another 20 years or whenever Obama started. Yeah,
I'm
we,
gonna
we
say Obama pretty much took his playbook.
he did.
Um, he literally took the whole playbook and he utilized the youth vote and he appealed to the people who weren't already convinced, weren't already stuck in their ways, weren't already had an opinion, and he put his he made a plea, hey, this is what I would like to do,
Hmm.
Hmm.
and people supported it.
I have a friend who went to a fried chicken dinner. Um, that was I don't remember what year it was. It was probably 2005, I'm thinking, in Chicago. and all they said was that the guy he was planning to run for president. And she's like, okay. They went and paid a little money, and it was literally at their house. And Michelle and her mama cooked the fried chicken, and they
Wow.
sat around. Yes, that's how grassroots it was. And they
Wow.
all were excited, but they didn't think he was like actually going to become president. Like that's the audacity of now we got to be at, the
Hmm.
Mm.
grassroots has to be. Yeah, I was like,
Definitely has
wow.
to be grassroots right now. Yeah.
Everybody,
We
Right.
have to get
the
back
ones
to
that are in
that.
there, too many of them have split commitments between the people and the money.
Yep. Yep. Once you take that big corporate money and machine money, those favors are gonna start. You're gonna get that tap on that shoulder. Gonna have to vote a certain way or not vote a certain way. That's what happens when folks take money like that. They are basically bought. They've been bought. So they're no longer a benefit to the community. They're only a benefit to their donors. It's sad. We've got to change that. We've got to get back to the grassrooted. We've got to get back to the people. Got to get back to the aging population. We've got to get back to those students, those working families. Those are the backbones of our communities. Those who have kept communities going and afloat for many, many years.
Hmm.
Hmm. I remember in COVID, the term was essential workers. Everybody was essential worker. I said, "Oh wow, it's interesting." Now they're essential. Now
Hmm.
now 6 years later they're disposable.
Hmm.
Ain't that something?
Hmm. That's
People, but they changed the narrative, right? Because I remember when I worked in the automotive industry, you can see that was one of the first industries that you could see the change happening. You know, the UAW had like millions of employees and it was dying down, dying down, dying down because of automation, right? The robots was coming in, the arms was doing stuff, the jobs that maybe two or three people were, doing. And so the jobs were going away for a long time, right? And so now they're like, well, the immigrants are taking your jobs, so they changed that whole narrative. And like, so if you're not privy or not paying attention, you're running with that narrative, right? And you're repeating those talking points. And then with all this stuff that's going on right now, and you're saying, oh, they're taking away. No, your job was taken away, not by the immigrants. It's about these corporations wanted to do things slicker and faster and not have to pay for when you get injured on the job and all the other stuff that goes on. And so, like, we just had to do our due diligence more to, study and pay attention to what's going on. And again, having conversations with not only, like on these platforms, but also with each other to check
Yeah.
in and see what's going on so we can really deal with. So when it's time to vote, we can be focusing or on people who are talking about what's really going on in our communities.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I think again, back to that speech, that's what he was saying. Like, hey, I'm just like you know, because you could tell the people they were crying and everything, but he was really, being honest and saying, hey, I'm human. I'm just like you. I'm not special. I'm not up here. You can reach out to me.
Hmm.
I was born from a single mom. I was
Hmm.
adopted.
Hmm.
So,
Yep.
Hmm.
He
Yeah.
was letting them know he was relatable.
yes.
You
Yeah,
know.
that's the little term they use now, relatable.
He
Yeah.
was relatable. He was like, I get it. I'm one of y'all.
Right.
Hmm.
I didn't have no
Hmm.
insurance. I had a teen mama. We didn't have any heat or hot water.
Right.
So how many people can understand that or went without a little hot water, a little heat every here and there, years ago.
Even today, 2026.
Hello. It's still happening. Hello.
Hmm.
Yes. He said, my mom didn't have health insurance. How how many people right now don't have it? You know,
Hmm.
she had me in the bed.
Mhm,
Yep.
and we're going
So,
back to, in some ways we're going back to those, yeah. Uh,
Yep.
so, Tisha, I had a question for you. So, you know, I know I constantly feel it's this conflict, inner conflict, because we live in Arbor, and it every time I look around, they're getting the most educated place, the safest place for women, the this, and that. And that just hasn't been the lived reality. Um, so being part of minority in this, top tier so-called town, like how do we find working class black community in areas where we are the minority, or at least have our voice? How do our voices? How would you say how to connect? When you're in a Flint or you're in Detroit, it is easier to have a voice. It's still issues, but it's easier to have a voice because you have the masses. But a place like Ann Arbor, how do you what tools do you have for us to have a voice? Because we're not part of that.
I think we have to go back to what we were used to. We have to go back to our church homes. We have to create spaces that so that we can change the narrative. We have to build with other groups. It might take us, like an Asian group reached out to me on some collaboration on some things, and we're gonna start booking our like stage and different things like that for our festivals together to get a discount. So I
Mhm.
think that what that looks like is we have to change the narrative. We have to create the spaces. We have to use some of the tools that we know, like the churches and our home bases and our organizations, our NAACPs, our black organizations and groups. And we have to call those leaders to the table and start
Mhm.
meeting and collectively developing resource forming, policy forming. We have to go and then reach out to our elected officials, bring them to the table. Hey, this is what we want. But we all have to get on one accord. I think the problem is that there's so many groups, there's so many people with opinions and ideas on what it should look like. Have to come together
Mhm.
and come up with, like, I'm just saying, like our top
Mhm.
five things that are
Mhm.
important to us and our
mhm.
community. And then we have to go and make sure, because then at that point, then we need to get out and get to these polls and make sure that those folks are not elected if they do not represent us.
Right. But
I think,
okay, so yeah, if we don't have the numbers to come out to the polls in mass, how and we may not have leaders in certain races, we may not have a good choice. When we don't have a good choice, how do you suggest that we engage the bad choices into better decisions for our
Mhm.
communities?
I don't think there's one full answer. It
No, not just one,
Yeah.
but whatever you had to, yeah, offer. Mhm.
I mean, again, it's about education. It's about training. We need to train more candidates. We need to share information. We need to start working with our youth, our younger folks, our future.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
it's hard when we are the minority in our areas, but we cannot give up. We cannot surrender.
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
can't
Yeah.
surrender. We have to keep fighting. And so, what
Mhm.
that looks like, I don't know. We haven't been able to figure that out. We have to
Mhm.
keep working towards that. But one thing we have to do is we've got to come together. Until we all come
Mhm.
together on one accord, the few that we do have, we'll never get anything accomplished as collectively.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
So you're running for office, right?
I am. I'm running in probably a 99, 98, 99% Caucasian district. I'm running in a space where I've lived pretty much on the north side my whole life. And I'm running for the people. The people want change. I'm running for I will be, it is my intention to be the next city council person for Ward 2 in Ann Arbor.
So, if elected, what does accountability look like for your community, and how should the community measure that? Whether the
Well,
elected officials are truly serving the people.
first things first is I'm going to listen to the people. I'm going to continue to listen. I've been in community. I'm going to listen to them. I'm going to create realistic, affordable housing opportunities. I'm going to create training programs. My goal is to work with the council to create training programs and cohorts and keep the jobs here. We train our people for the jobs instead of outsourcing the jobs to these big corporate companies. Why we have so many
Mhm.
people here that need work? I can't
Yeah.
give y'all too much everything I want to do because they listen to everything I'm doing. So we can't give them too
Okay,
much of
right.
the
Don't give,
juice
just
now.
show a shoulder.
Okay, just give them a little something. But
Yeah, yeah.
I'm for the people. I'm going to listen to the people who have been the backbone of this community. As I said, the aging, the students, the working class families, those legacy families and legacy folks from the city. I'm going to make sure that our parks stay intact. I would love to see people be able to stay in their homes who have been in them for 30 or 40 years to not lose them or be forced to sell them because they can't upkeep them. They can't afford to replace the roof. They can't afford. That's what happened to Grammy. So the Baker
Mhm.
family home has stood there since who? The 50s or earlier, right?
Yeah, I don't even
They
remember. Yeah.
they were the first. So Mr. Baker was the first black business owner in Ann Arbor. He hired so many people. His granddaughter married barbecue king Jesse Campbell, right? Jesse was the first African American liquor store owner
Wow.
in Ann Arbor, in downtown. But
Mhm.
but you know what? People didn't support because he didn't have everything they wanted all the time, or he might have ran out. And so we have to. That's another thing. We have to support our folks when they're doing something. We have to support them. You know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I would like to support folks like that. I want to support the legacy people. I want to support the community, and I want to listen. But furthermore, I don't want any more of us have to leave because we can't afford to live here.
Wow.
That's that's
Mhm.
just first things first.
Mhm. Mhm.
So when you look at Reverend Jesse Jackson legacy, and what lessons do you think are impactful for leaders today?
Um, I just think that, like he said, just hope, don't surrender, build, um, creating opportunities, specifically workshops and camp and strategies for us, built for us. We have to build on that, and
Hmm.
we have to know our role, right? We have to know our role. We have to mentor. We have to bring folks up, lift as we climb. I want to say that was one thing that he did. He lifted as he climbed. He brought many others along.
Mhm.
And that's
Yeah.
what I like to do is we can't do it all alone. We can't do it by ourselves. So we need to make sure that we build and we bring folks along. Too many of us get to somewhere and they're gone. Hey, I done got my spot. No. So I think that we just have to continue to be a resource for each other. And we have to have some accountability on the machine.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
and those who represent us. We have to start putting some pressure on those folks who are at the table or get to the table ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Quit believing that, you know, probably not the best way to say it, but I used to hear some people think that white folk water is more wet
Yeah.
than ours.
Oh wow.
You ain't never heard that? That's old school. They
Very
think they
old
like
school.
Oh
because
wow.
because we had more black businesses in the 80s and 90s than we do now.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
and
More homeowners.
Yeah. Yeah. People too busy selling the homes of the parents or grandparents passed away. They're selling it. They're selling it off. Oh, I can't. I don't want to deal. I don't want to live there. They don't get it.
they can
Legacy.
live in the white neighborhood or they can have business. Yeah, yeah, it's or
It's
selling off
sad.
their businesses. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, as you know, or you may not, have you heard about Crystal Clark?
I have heard about Crystal Clark. I heard
Yeah.
about it, and I've
So,
been behind the scenes advocating on some other things, and trying to piggyback on all the efforts that my sister Trisha. I just I pray for her strength to continue on, and I thank her and yourself and Leslie and so many others who have brought this to this this despicable situation that they have put so many in, um, and that she is suffering, and there's something should be done immediately. I mean, there, I'm trying to figure out how this is humane, how this is able to carry on, and I'm just disgusted with leadership right now, and that no one has stepped in. Honestly,
Hmm.
so as we talking about Dr. Jackson, Crystal would be definitely someone that he would advocate for.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
He stood next to Sabrina Fulton. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah. We don't
So
have anyone. Who is that person on the national level now? Who is that? Who is our person?
that's a good question. I've been looking for him.
Yeah. I'm trying to think too. And then also to be fair, part of what so many of us town criers were trying to say with Project 2025, this administration has put like instead of 10 buildings on fire, there's 100 buildings on fire. So
Hmm.
some of our national leaders just don't have any more capacity.
Yeah,
It's like they fighting for health care and this and that. But that doesn't absolve them from this still needs to be seen. But, we looking at for leaders, but who's in the middle? We've lost
Right.
about 300,000 black women in the federal government have lost their jobs since this man took office. Those
yeah,
are the foot soldiers.
Hmm.
That's our b- middle class that would.
That's why we are so important because we have to be the voice of those that are most vulnerable. Um, Crystal is Crystal is like the spokesperson, right? But we know there are so many crystals, not only in Michigan, all across the United States. But
yeah,
we're just talking about right here in Michigan, we have a whole slew of women that's running this state. And I feel like, with that being said, well, all these women are in charge of Michigan, from the
Yes.
governor to the AG to the MDOT director to the Secretary of State, and all these important positions. Why is this not a woman led action to do something about that facility?
Yeah.
Now we can
Pussycat,
pay
pull up.
over, right? We can paint over the mold. We can create different narratives and try to come up with a policy, but still, we're talking about lives of women, and we got women here. And so I just think that when we're talking about accountability, when we're talking about legacy, this what's going on inside that facility is going to be somebody's legacy, whether
Yeah.
it's good or whether it's bad. And we just have to continue to be that voice and continue to stand and try to hold these folks accountable. It's been, just because it's been going on for so many years don't mean it got to continue,
Yeah.
you know. And I think that's what the thing is. Well, they all have mold in them. People try to shift it to something. Well, they all have mold, you know.
Mhm.
Well,
Mhm.
not everyone is sick, but this is all of us, and this is not just a Washington problem. This is a problem for every county in Michigan because women all over the state is in that place. From the top of Michigan to the bottom of Michigan, there's a woman that represents a county that's inside that facility. So this is for everybody to reach out to their state rep and their senator, and ask them, what are you doing? What is your opinion about what's going on inside of there, and what are you going to do about it? This is the only place that you have for women, and you need to clean it up. You need to do something.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Part and part of this is us being left out of the narrative. That's what so
Yeah.
I was one of the people who was very much behind, or not behind like I was doing that much, but I was busy with the gerrymandering efforts, the anti-gerrymandering. I did not read the fine print. I just assumed it meant all prison gerrymandering. When they said no gerrymandering, I thought that meant no gerrymandering. So we still have gerrymandering in
Hmm.
Michigan because we allow prison gerrymandering. That's huge.
Hmm. Yeah.
So these prisons are kind of orphaned. It is like slavery because they're counted for that county so they can, have the constituents they need to say have whatever, they get funds based on that and everything.
Right.
But they don't have any advocates.
Right. Nobody in that. So yeah, it is slavery. It's just slavery by another looking name, but it's definitely slavery. Now, and number two, your house, let's say your house way up north somewhere, right? There's
Mhm.
nobody who's going to speak for you or anything, but you're counted as one of those people in that area. Meanwhile, in the area where you live, where you're going to go back to, your money is being shipped up there. And so when you're talking about I noticed a few years ago, and I've been saying it because it really just like I was just really totally appalled where they closed this prison and people were out there crying and protesting and whatever because the prison was closing. And I'm thinking, hey, the numbers are reduced. There's less people in prison. We don't need them. And I get that you're losing your job, but hey, we got to find other ways to employ people around here, and
Mhm.
maybe reimagining how um, the prison system, which is so archaic right now, how it's being ran, especially here in Michigan. Reimagine what that looks like going forward. And actually, this is, and we're talking about this. This is our accountability segment that we're talking about. But yeah, we maybe it's time to start reimagining what what it look like going forward.
Mhm.
Yep. Yep. So that is that. I think that is that's like the assignment for black leaders, black groups, black politicians, black organizers, black activists. We need to see come to the table and help define what tomorrow looks like for us.
Mhm.
What we would like it to look like at least.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, thank you for joining us for this conversation. Where can people find you and find more stuff about you, Tisha?
Oh, so we'll be launching a website soon if they want to contact me, Montague for counsel at gmail.com. Is my direct contact information.
And that's
Um,
Montague, the number 4, COU.
FOUR,
Oh, FOR, sorry.
FOR, and then
FOR.
counsel. Yep.
Okay.
Montague for FOR counsel at gmail.com. And then that'll probably be the website. And then catch me on June 6th at the Ann Arbor African American Downtown Festival, where we have the amazing Chico DeBarge as our headliner this year.
Okay, yay.
Represent.
Yes.
So before you go, I want to leave us with this piece from Dr. Jesse Jackson. And then me and Leslie, we're going to keep going. But
Thank you
yeah,
so much. Have an amazing day. And
you
thank you.
too.
Keep on keeping on, y'all.
Thank
I
you,
know.
Tisha.
Thank you.
I am somebody. I am somebody. I may be poor, but I am somebody. I may be on welfare, but I am somebody. I may be unskilled, but I am somebody. I am black, beautiful, proud. I must be respected. I must be protected. What time is it? When we stand together, what time is it? When we say no more yes about, what time is it? What time is it? What time is it?
Ass fucking talk.
Yes.
We gonna talk, no worry about it.
So, yay.
That's my favorite.
I
So,
am somebody.
yeah, I attached more, and I have a piece I'm putting out soon about that. I am somebody resonated more with me than the Keep Hope Alive, although it was a great slogan too.
Mm-hmm. So, this is our accountability segment. And the sister we want to we want to talk about this week is MDOC and their medical department. And I want to play a video. I had to get something out of there, but yeah, I want to play this video, Leslie.
Okay.
Jaw-dropping verdict in a Detroit federal courtroom. $307.6 million has been awarded to a former Michigan inmate. He says he spent more than 2 years in prison suffering every day because a medical contractor wouldn't approve a surgery to reverse his colostomy bag.
In the end, years later, the attorney for that former inmate says he told that jury, quote, "I made a mistake. This is worse than I ever could have imagined on paper." How were you treated?
I was scrutinized. I was treated like an animal.
By whom?
Inmates and staff.
He says he suffered for over 2 years while behind bars, denied necessary surgery to remove his colostomy bag. 44-year-old former inmate Cochise Jackson can barely put it into words. In prison from 2016 to 2019 under the Michigan Department of Corrections, Jackson, his attorneys say early on, developed a medical issue requiring the bag.
The doctor told him, don't worry, it's temporary. You only have to have this for 6 to 8 weeks.
But his attorney, John Marco, who calls the private healthcare company Corizon evil and a criminal enterprise, says the surgery Corizon refused to approve only cost $919.35.
The less services that this private prison healthcare company gives to the inmates, the more money it gets to keep.
The lawsuit filed back in 2019 says Jackson was not only refused necessary health care and supplies over and over, but also hospitalized for being beaten so badly, the bag often splitting open, feces all over his body.
Shame on him. I'm still a human being at the end of the day.
Marco says during the trial, former Corizon employees testifying they were not allowed to call an ambulance at times because it would cost too much money.
Her boss at Corizon told her, Just get them comfortable and let them die.
Marco says he's now spoken to other inmates across the state and country with similar problems.
One individual had to wait 12 and a half years to get his colostomy reversed. The skin around his stomach started dying. Another individual had to wait 5.5 years. His intestine had actually migrated outside of his body.
And now while Jackson and Marco say they're satisfied with the historic $307.6 million verdict.
I just wish these bad people would get put out of business so they can't do the same thing they did to me to anyone else.
These people should not only be put out of business, they should be put in prison themselves.
Marco went on to say there's a lot of former and current inmates who need help. And while this is a good start, there's still a lot of work to do.
So let me talk about this right quick. When Gerard was incarcerated, Corizon was the people that were in charge for the healthcare.
I'm sorry. One second. I'm so sorry, Jake. Can we just take a moment?
Yeah.
Just take a moment. I just want to take a moment. That was heavy. I just feel like, I don't know, praying or just thinking about this young man. Yeah. I just pray for his healing, even after yes, money is one thing, but I'm just praying for his physical and psychological healing after that. That is torture. Prisoners of war don't go through that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. It was moving too fast for me. Yeah.
It's me it was like in this moment I'm reliving when my son was in there. Revertia knows, she's in the chat, but Gerard had severe Crohn's disease to the point that he needed an infusion every month to maintain his health. And when he first arrived to the prison or whatever, now it was stated before he even left that he had this condition. And the judge said he's going to get better medical care in Jackson than he will staying in the county and seeing his doctor. Because if he stayed in the county, he could see his doctor. So she said this. He would get better. And these are the people who was in charge at that time. When he got there, they lost his medical records. They act like they didn't know nothing about what he was talking about. And they was giving him Tums.
Tums don't even work for what they supposed to work for.
Right. They was literally giving him Tums. In a couple of months, he had lost 40 pounds and could barely walk. So at that time, I was like in contact with Rashida Tlaib's office. I got the doctors involved. And we just started flooding them. The ombudsman, Cotton Correctional Facility, just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Thank God that it triggered them to move. He finally was able to see a specialist, and they would not give him the medication that he was taking. They found the cheapest thing that they could find to give him for this infusion. It was so bad that he had to take other medicines after the infusion because the medication that they gave him for the infusion triggered all other kind of things, allergic reactions. So when I listened to this man and I listened to Crystal, this is systemic across the board. This is like because every few years they change these medical providers. But really what's happening, because what happens is they get so many lawsuits, right? They put somebody over, they change the name, and then they come back and get another contract. That's all they're
Yep.
doing and
Yep.
doing the same thing over and over and over again. The
They got
same
run
people.
up out of the South doing that. They had, the last one had 14 lawsuits in the South. Yeah.
So but they be all the same. If you dig into it, it would be like, okay, this was Verizon, but they used to be this, and then before that, they used to be this, and then you just follow the lawsuit, follow the money trail, and you see how the name changes. And so this is where these, not only the medical companies that are getting these jobs, but it's also MDLCs. It's all these Department of Corrections who don't even give a hoot about people because they keep on hiring these folks. They want to save a dime or 50 cent, you know. And so these people, they have horrific health care. The doctor that Crystal sees, Dr. Ellison said, hey, I don't have to listen to what the infectious specialist says. Hello, he's an infectious specialist. But you, doctor, regular guy, don't have to listen to anything. So now she's itching so bad. It's like she describes this to me as it feels like she's being eaten alive from the mold. So when you see this man winning $307.6 million, who's paying all this money?
I've been wondering that too. I can't figure it out. Like Jackson, because this was, first of all, I don't understand because the decision, as I read it initially, I could be wrong. The decision was made by the jail, not the prison. So does that mean the county of Jackson, which is poor, is supposed to come with a 307 million, or is it the state, or is it MDOC? Like where?
So I think in this case, the medical provider. They sued the medical provider. But a lot of some of these cases also, they're suing the MDOC, Department of Corrections.
Okay.
So when it comes to the Department of Corrections, that's not coming out of their budget. That's coming out of the taxpayers' pockets.
Right.
So
the last healthcare contract was for 590 million, right? So then 307, that's over half.
That's more than half of their contract. This is what I'm saying. This is crazy for a $900 surgery.
Hello.
They said something like, well, he's not dying, so we don't need to correct it.
Math not mathing for me.
So when we out here talking and people like saying, well, what'd she do? Doesn't matter. You're going to have to pay for it.
I get asked that all the time, and it's so irritating because at what point does somebody reduce to the point of a human that they should not expect basic medical care?
Right. She's
at what
property
point?
First of all, today, as I was talking about Crystal, I wanted everyone to know first, Crystal is wrongly convicted of a crime that she did not do. She was not there. She was not there. Mm-hmm. So she's convicted to all this time for something she didn't do. But because she's so highly allergic to mold, she literally has to fight for her life. She had to set her life over, fighting for her life over being wrongly convicted. So she served all this time on the crime she didn't do, and she can't breathe. And the mold is eating up. It's spreading out on her limbs, her arms, her legs, around her ears. So when you said, what did she do? Nothing. She did nothing.
She didn't. But yes, she did nothing. She's absolutely innocent. But I just get still irritated when people even ask, because nothing about the way she's treated is part of the contract for breaking the law. If she
Exactly.
had done something, nobody deserves this. What was it?
Nobody.
Um, January of 25. I remember we got on to pray at um January, because they came over at like 7 or 8 in the evening, ready to give her heart surgery in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing in writing, just like be ready around 4 a.m. We coming
Right.
back and we gonna give you heart surgery. Couldn't the staff couldn't tell her what exactly what the heart surgery was, anything. That's not how you do people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So um I don't know. So I just feel like outside of her wrongful conviction, we got to get to the point where people are given some basic humanity no matter what.
Right. We have to remember to see people as human. S-
Mhm.
She's beyond whatever label that you put on her. She's beyond incarcerated. She is not. She's beyond, all of that stuff. She's a human, and everybody deserves the right to clean air. You don't even deserve to live in a house full of mold. And so, as we was talking about it today, I wanted to bring this up while we holding systems accountable. Um, One of the speakers that was talking today, she brought up something very clear, and I got home like I was mad dashing home because I didn't want to lose this thought. But when we talk about mold and we talk about how they're painting over the mold and we talk about, the mold spores. And I was talking to Crystal this morning, and she was like, they keep my room so cold and they got these fans going. And I was like, don't they realize that they're spreading the spores
Yeah, I saw
all
you
over the
write that. I
place?
was like, "What?"
They're spreading the spores everywhere with these fans. And for some reason, weird, that they think that because they have the room cold, the mold is not going to spread. That's not true. But also, I realized and I learned today that mold spores, as they're in the air, right?
Mhm.
They're they're invisible, so you can't see them. But they land, they drop on you, your purse, your iPhone, and your hair, on your shoes, on the bottom of your shoes. And so you're a
That's so nasty.
walking spore, mold spore. So when you get off of work, you know,
That is so
you carry
nasty.
mold home with you, right? So while you're playing, like, hey, there's no mold in here, there's this and that, but you're carrying it with you, and you can cross contaminate other people. So if you got someone at home with respiratory issues, and you might not have physically, might can't see mold, but you're bringing it, is on your body, so you're bringing it on, or you're taking it to the store with you, or it's in your car. It's all these places. It's not just Huron Valley. It's bigger than that. It's a community that these people live in, that they're bringing that stuff back out of there. And so if you don't so when we talk about it's bigger than Crystal, yeah, in a sense, yeah, because they're also poisoning people everywhere they go. So
It's bigger than Crystal, but don't forget Crystal, because
yeah,
also I see that too, like her being a footnote into like these bigger policy umbrellas, and day at day at Capitol Hill and whatever else.
but you
Um,
wouldn't be here without Crystal, because Crystal, before that, she was advocating. Check her out on Talk Radio.
mhm.
um, all the letters she sent by herself to all these lawmakers. Some of the same lawmakers that's acting like they're surprised to hear about it now.
I know. I love seeing it.
She sent letters to them, years and years of letters, and writing people and telling them about what was going on there, even when they were calling her crazy, even when they were making the other inmates, forcing them not to talk about it, even through retaliation, even through, not being able to get back and forth when they took her walker and all the other crazy stuff that they did to her. she still was the spokesperson for what was going on in there. So as they're creating new narratives and they're trying to say, oh, it's bigger than one person. Okay, but it's because of that one person that we're here today, and we cannot forget it. And that's why we stand up for Crystal Denise Clark and for her freedom and for accountability for all the women, Jennifer Wallace, Teresa Dunlap, and all the women who are
Tamara
passed since past.
Washington. Oh,
Yes. And all the women who are still inside of there that's sick, and some of them who may not be sick right now.
mm-hmm.
And even for the employees, as we watched in the oversight hearing and we listened to them talk about, what has happened to them. We are standing with them as well.
Wait a
And
minute. I had to laugh when
what?
I have a weird sense of humor when it was a official from the prison who started his speech talking about he had been there, what was it, 30 years, 20 years, whatever it was. I said I would be too embarrassed to say I've
Right,
been
38
working
years.
I would be too embarrassed to say that. That's what I think about accountability. We quit letting people play in our faces.
Yes.
Nobody should be able to be cool with the people and say they've been in a position for 31 years and we still have the same issues we had
Same
31 years
problem.
ago.
So that means for 38 years you've been collecting the check and doing nothing, sir. You're a buzzman who's been in it doing this job for 38 years, and people coming home with missing limbs and uh, all kinds of stuff, surgery on the wrong parts. I heard about one surgery. Was a woman in Huron Valley. They took off the wrong leg
Oh
and
no.
amputated the wrong leg, and they had to amputate the other leg, and she eventually passed away. Like,
That's
38 years, and
sad.
this is your track record. This is your legacy of
Yeah.
what's happening in these places. It's horrific. So when we're talking about $307 million, right, we're talking about maybe more because of just that family right there with the lady with the taking off the wrong legs and all the other stuff, mold in the chemo ports. It's just countless stories, and even the database of women, of the stories that we have, that we constantly hearing every day, is
Mhm.
horrific. So
Mhm.
please don't tell us about your Safe Act initiative, because we are not trying to hear it. Stop playing in our face. It ain't safe. Clean it up or tear it down. I don't care what you do, but free Crystal Clark and bring home some of these women that's sick in there. That's what you can do. So we're
Yeah.
holding y'all accountable. This um, MDOC period.
Yeah. And I encourage any lawmaker that has a modicum of influence to think of this is your chance to shine. You can be a hero. This will help your campaign because at the end of the day, history will look well on Crystal and bad on all these folks that stood by.
Yeah. Some of these people are gonna be on the wrong side of history.
Mhm. Mhm. It's still time to be a hero and be able to say, put that in your feather cap. I helped a young woman who was wrongfully incarcerated and dying of mold exposure and helped her to get um, freedom, and I helped her to get her story out. Um, and she could be utilized. Like she talks all the time about what's going on in prison. She could be
Hmm.
because all of the people that are in leadership are all like, oh, I didn't know this is going. Oh, I didn't know. You could use somebody like Crystal, and that could be she could inform your decision making. You could walk hand in hand to do true reform. You
Right.
know, from the inside story out. So there's still room.
And right, and I don't know doesn't excuse you.
No.
Because now that you do know, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Are you going to still keep acting like you don't know? You know, you know. So now what? What are you gonna do? Are you still gonna say, "Well, I tried to talk to the governor"? Did you actually go in there and sit down in there and really? When we were in last hour, it was like, dang, they could just walk over here. She just walked through. You know what I'm saying? So you guys see her. Some of you getting pictures with her, and we in here talking to you on test threads talking about, Crystal and what's going on in there. And then the next few days later, we see you in a picture with the governor. And we're like, what? What is happening here?
I've wondered
So,
about that too. I asked to speak to her before because I from somebody that's in the office, and I've seen them take pictures. I don't understand that either. She said she would try, but that feels like the governor might be saying, "I don't want to talk to to them." Because when Trisha asked, her assistant said to follow up with Garland Gilchrist.
right. And I'm not going to even count on that. I'm not going to even comment on that. I'm not going to even say it. I'm just going to keep it moving. How about that? So
Okay.
yes, so that's the our segment on that, and
What's our current
um,
call to action for Crystal?
so our current call to action is to continue to send letters. Now we're asking everybody to contact your state rep, contact your union. I mean, not union, your state senator. Send a letter to the governor. Email her, Gretchen Whitmore at Michigan.gov. Or you can write a letter. But we have to continue to put pressure because she can bring Crystal home just with her ink pen. So
Mhm.
Reverend Tia said the lieutenant governor does not have too much power, according to my understanding.
Clearly,
Reverend Tia, I said I wasn't gonna say nothing.
she
So
did him like a dog, but I'm not gonna say nothing either. Okay.
right. So
Okay.
that's what we're doing now. Continue that. Contact your state rep. No matter where you live in Michigan, we're all affected about what happens in Huron Valley. So it's all of our job to stand up for the women inside. So,
It could be your
um,
daughter or mother or whatever.
right.
Yeah. You guys did a good job last week. I will say I was listening on the way home. I spoke at the detention center for No Kings, so I could
Mm-hmm.
just listen to the family of Jennifer Wallace.
Oh yeah, yeah,
That
yeah,
was very moving to hear
yeah,
these grown men talk about their sister and mama, and what
yeah.
she meant to them.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And we're sending them tons of love. They're really grieving, and that's tough. You know. This week or next week, Justice for Women at Huron Valley, we having a lunch and learn. The lunch and learn is going to be at U of M. Again, join us. It's open to the public. It's from 12 to 3. The room is 420. What building is that again, Leslie?
Uh, which 430420? Oh, that's the one. I think
No,
that's
the
the
name of
one.
that building.
Oh, Central Campus Community Building. It's mm, mm, mm. Yeah,
It's the
Central
same,
Campus. Huh?
it's the same building that we had the community conversation in last year.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah, I remember it's Central Campus, but if you're coming from out of town, you come in, you pass the hospital. It's nestled right near it's like a transit where the kids get well, not kids, but the students get on and off. And it's if you see the dental school, you're too far, but it's on the same street as the dental school and Hill Auditorium.
Yes. So join us there. There's going to be lunch. We're going to be playing some of the women that spoke before. You're going to hear their stories. And then we're going to make signs and we're going to go out into, the students are going to go out and do a small protest to we're informational to, bring awareness about what's going on here in Valley. So you all are invited. So please join us. So that's it for tonight. Thank you, Leslie. It was
Yeah.
wonderful seeing you and talking to you and
Can
asking
I
you.
put a little small plug in?
Yeah, go ahead, Leslie.
Okay, so on Friday, April 17th, which is at 11 a.m., the Albert Williams Voting Corner will have our People's Toolkit, where we always, a small part where it's have some piece where you can bring into your everyday life to help us in these times. But also there's a general, like a topic, and this time is focused around second chances, uh, sexual assault, and poetry, like all in one. And so,
Okay.
yeah, and so we have Rachel Dawson, who spent, I don't know, like probably 15, 20 years as a criminal defense lawyer in Chicago. And she did such good work. She knew the gangs in and out, all of that. And she said in all the years she spent doing that work, she ain't never met a thug. She ain't never met an animal. These are very intelligent young children with not very many choices. So she'll be on there. And then also we'll have Fartumo Kuso, who is Somali Black, and her daughter, you probably heard me talk about Sarah Boulay, was a victim to femicide by her husband of 20 years. And her mother was part of she was part of a system where women were trafficked in Somalia. And she has a book that just came out. And she'll be talking about that and giving like a full scope of girls that and women that have dealt with sexual assault. So not reducing them down to just the act that they survived, but the full scope. So I'm excited about that.
Yay. So we have to get you back on next week to plug it again.
Okay.
So thank you, Leslie, and thank you
Thank
everyone
you.
for joining us. And we'll see you back maybe next week. Bye-bye.
Little light of mine, just little light of mine. I'm gon' let it shine. I'm gon' let it shine. Just little light of mine. Just little light of mine. I'm gon' let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gon' let it shine. I'm gon' let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gon' let it shine. I'm gon' let it shine. Oh Lord, just let it shine. This light of mine, this light of mine. Oh Lord, would you please just let it shine. Take the drama out of my life. Oh Lord, every night the pain ain't right. I wake up at night, I never sleep. 26, 10, and 7, that's just me. Every day I need a little seed. I need a little fresh air, man, I need to breathe. All I know is trauma, all I know is tickets. All I know is no visit. All I know is a mission to get straight up out of prison. Lord have mercy for it. Lord have mercy on my people. Preacher Mary Washington and all my real. Lord have mercy with my people. I pray to God, we really need you. When I was down bad, when things weren't going right, every time I prayed at night, I put my hands up in my face. I said, Lord have mercy, little light of mine. Lord God, please let it shine. It's the drama that I live in my life. I swear to God, I was a bad guy every night. 10 toes down, salute. Everybody suffering, everybody who trying to make a way. Everybody looking for the sky, everybody looking for that piece of pie. In a law library, I know what that feel like. Hoping that somebody get active and involved in your situation. Man, pop your collar and pray. Cause Lord have mercy on my soul. And they make bad guy father get out soon. And the rest of those brothers who be mobbing to child each morning. Oh man, I ain't going to this afternoon. Man, I'ma miss dinner today. I got a couple noodles. Hey, you know what that feel like? Do you know what it is? And if you a victim of a wrongful conviction, suffered and served by Ken Worthy, then I know that you know what that pain feel like. And your mama know what that pain feel like. Your father know what that pain feel like. With that light, let that little shine. Let that light shine a little light of mine. Bad guy, Doughboy Week, all these great people in this great world of ours. 10 toes down, salute. I appreciate you, bad guy. I appreciate you, Week. I appreciate the tech. I appreciate everybody in the studio. We gonna pop off that LV. Ooh-wee. Cause that's what they be liking to see. But I hope you hear the missing when you see me fresh. Salute.